You have likely seen our next speaker on television, or you've read his nationally syndicated column, or you've seen his new book at Borders or Barnes & Noble, and we have copies out there. Roland Martin, more popularly known for his work on CNN, is everywhere. He's an award-winning journalist, a syndicated columnist, an author, and, as I said, a well-known CNN analyst. His journalistic credentials are exemplary. He's the past editor of the Chicago Defender and the past owner of the Dallas-Fort Worth Heritage. Little did Secretary Page know, he even attended school in Houston when Secretary Page was on the school board. He worked at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, the Austin American-Statesman, and his pieces have appeared in Ebony and Essence magazines. But for our purpose today, Roland Martin is something else. He is an unapologetic supporter of school choice. Last year, standing bravely in defense of our endangered DC Opportunity Scholarship Program that, as you all know, is close to my heart. In fact, not only did Roland Martin give a shout out to our program unprompted on several occasions on CNN, he confirmed what I had already known, that he had privately challenged the president about the DC Scholarship Program, even aboard Air Force One. I am pleased to welcome today our keynote speaker, award-winning journalist and author, Roland Martin.
All right, we're certainly glad to be here. I'm always in this city. I fly in and out. I'm still based in Chicago, and so they've been trying to get me to move to D.C. I'm like, absolutely not. There's too many folks in this city all sound the same on TV. They seem never to get actually out of the city. So it always cracks me up when we're on the air and they're talking about what Americans are thinking. I'm like, yeah, but y'all don't know what they're thinking because you don't talk to them. So it's always great to travel around this country chatting with so many different people. And I also want to thank you for extending the invitation to chat today, also to have a little Q&A afterwards as well about this, this really the critical issue. I'm reading a book on the late Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson. And his father always talked about the three B's. He talked about the book, education. He talked about the ballot, that is voting and politics. He talked about the buck, and that is economic development. Anybody who understands the role that he played in revitalizing and totally changing the dynamics of Atlanta, he really did so in terms of combining the issue of political power and economic power. But there's no doubt, as far as I'm concerned, that the most vital issue that we face in this country is education, because all of those other issues are tied to it. When you travel around this country, you look at what's happening economically, when you look at what's happening in terms of jobs, when you look at what in terms of cities that have totally been destroyed, I think you can have a direct correlation to the quality of a school system, the quality of education, to what is happening in that city. There's no doubt if you look at what's happening in Detroit, you can say, look at the school system, look at the state of that particular city. You can say the exact same thing when you go to Oakland, when you go to so many different cities all across this country. How effective the schools determines how effective that particular city is going to be. And I am someone who is absolutely proud of being a product of Texas. I went to Clinton Park Elementary School. I went to the Vanguard program at Pleasantville Elementary School. Then went to William Holland, Pleasantville Elementary School, went to William Holland across the street, the middle school, and then I went to Jack Yates High School, the Magnet School of Communications there. And I make it clear that I enjoyed it. Went to Texas A&M University, so I've been riding school buses since I was in the 3rd grade, all around the city and all around the state. But even though I am a huge proponent of public education, I understand that you cannot educate every child with one particular system. Part of the problem with this dialogue is that we don't embrace the holistic approach when it comes to education. And so I remember at the Congressional Black Caucus this year, I'm walking around and I'm talking to people, and a woman walks up to me and she says that she's with the California Teachers Union. And she says, I want to introduce you to our leadership team. And then she says, I tell you, we are against this plan by the president to continue all of these charter schools. And I stopped. And I said, wait a minute. I don't think for a second you know who the hell you're talking to. And she looked. I said, I believe in public schools, private schools, charter schools, magnet school, homeschool, online. I don't care how a child gets educated. That's what I believe in. I said, so you got the wrong guy if you think that I'm going to be against the educating of any child. I said, and so as the other leaders are coming over, I said, do you believe in a child reading, writing, and learning? She said, yes. I said, so I don't care how they get there. So why are you opposing any other method that gets a child educated? I said, now I can go ahead and meet the rest of your people. And so clearly she wasn't quite understanding who she was dealing with, because that is a fundamental problem that we face, is where folks act as if that is the only way in which we can actually teach children. And so I think about, I call them the 3 M's in terms of what has to happen with this dialogue, because there's so much debate. In fact, I'm always jousting back and forth with Ben Jealous, the head of the NAACP, on this. When he came on my TV One show, and we were talking about the state of Black America, and we're talking about the agenda, and we began to talk about vouchers, and I began to drill him, and I was hitting him hard. And so afterwards he said, he wasn't prepared for the conversation. I said, you always should be prepared for this conversation if you ever come on this show. And so Ben had this whole notion that, because he thought that I was a Republican because I supported vouchers. And I said, well, first of all, Ben, I think someone sent an email out. Let's be clear. I don't identify with either party because I can't stand parties. I can't stand a party label, because there are some Democrats I like, and there are some Democrats I cannot stand. There are some Republicans I like, and there are some Republicans I cannot stand. And so I will never, ever vote for one party. I vote for people. I vote for policies. I vote for issues. And so, being in Texas, even now living in Chicago, if there's somebody who's a Republican and I like what they have to say and I believe in those positions, I'll vote for them. If it's a Democrat, I'll vote for them. So I don't fall for these ridiculous political labels, which brings me to the first M that I talk about, and that is the motive of this movement has to be pure. I think the problem that I've had with the school choice vouchers movement is that it has been framed as part of a political dialogue. And that is, there's a sense that, well, Republicans support vouchers, Democrats don't. I keep saying, forget the party labels, keep the focus on kids. If you keep the focus on kids and keep the focus on education, it doesn't matter from what perspective they're coming from.